Yeah, no.
Yes. 6 seconds, you got it.
3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to the Zorich Podcast. This is going to be kind of exciting. This week, we have one of my all-time favorites, and happens to be a guy in my same class. We were actually captains together. I mean, this is like, you're like my brother.
No question.
This is
no question.
Todd Lyght, Super Bowl champion, two-time All-American at Notre Dame, the legendary Todd Lyght. Todd Lyght, thank you very much for hanging out with me today.
Absolutely, Chris. You know I would never miss an opportunity to spend some time with you, my good man. Never.
So here's what's exciting. We got in case anybody misses this, they have a chance to see this again on my YouTube channel, which is at Chris Zorich 50. So if you want to check it out, you can. So here's what's exciting. We have a guy who, like myself, was kind of the resurgence of Notre Dame, right? So we had all these old cats that we played with that were wearing like button-down shirts and khakis to class. And then you got Holtz' second class, which is us, knuckleheads, wearing like T-shirts and grays and flip-flops and everything. I mean, our experience was so different than the older guys. Before we get to that, how did you choose Notre Dame? And tell us a little bit about your high school career.
You know, what was great about the University of Notre Dame, I was introduced to it really early, my sophomore year in high school. So my freshman year in high school, I'm living with my dad. He's the deputy police chief. He's deputy chief of police in Savannah, Georgia. I'm going to an all-boys military Catholic school. I mean, so we're getting it from both ends. And it was brutal. I mean, you know, coming from Virginia, going to Georgia, let me tell you something. It was a little bit of a drastic change in the climate, you know what I mean, in terms of people and, perception. So, that experience was different. It was different. Then he moved to Michigan, where he became the chief of police in Flint. He was there for about 4 years as chief there. And so, getting in trouble was really not an option for me. My dad being 6'4" and, chief of police, carrying a gun and a badge and all the good stuff. But, I had a great time in Michigan. But my high school coach, actually, his name is Tucker. Okay. Bill Tucker, and he graduated from the University of Notre Dame in 1966.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so he would take the football team down if we did really good on your grades to the spring games, and then sometimes he would bring us to regular season games.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and so I was introduced to Notre Dame in 10th grade, did that. Then 11th grade, we went back again, and then I got recruited by Notre Dame. So I had already been on a couple unofficial trips with my high school coach.
Nice.
Yeah. So my familiarity with the school was great. It was like I had, such a different experience. And then being recruited by Michigan State, which, where I really thought I was going to end up because Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator there.
Okay.
He did a great job recruiting me, just like he's doing a great job of recruiting in Alabama. George Perlis was the head coach. Really had a great relationship with him. Michigan, what a phenomenal school. But I don't know, something about Bo Schembechler, it was just – I didn't like it. You know what I mean? It was off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know if it was probably because the love that Coach Holtz was showing me and wasn't on the same wave. But Bo Schembechler wasn't showing me. I was feeling Holtz way tougher. You know what I mean? And I think those two factors, my coach introduced me to the University of Notre Dame, and then also my relationship with Coach Holtz really, really made the difference in my decision to go to the University of Notre Dame. It's probably one of the greatest decisions in my life other than marrying my wife, Stephanie.
Of course. You have to say that, right? Because she's actually in the background, right?
She just walked by. I'm trying to pick up some points.
Get some points, man. Hey, man, you got to in this COVID environment, you got to do that, man. You're in the house all day, believe me.
I know, right.
So did Lou do a magic trick for you, or because one of Tony's best stories.
Right, go ahead.
He did a magic trick for his grandmother. So
yes. You know what? The first time he came to the house, he did do the magic trick. I really wasn't impressed with that, but the presentation of it was really, really good. What I liked about him was his vision for the program and myself within his program. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but some people do, where, I was supposed to be the next Tim Brown, like, you know what I mean? Coming out of high school.
Wait, it was either you or Pat Terrell, right? Which one, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be me. You know what I mean? And it was funny, too, because I had this stat in high school. It was every 4.4 times I touched the ball, I scored a touchdown. And then I remember my head coach telling that to Lou, and Lou looked right at him and was like, well, you know what that tells me? He should be getting the ball a lot more, coach.
Wow.
Right. So, I wanted to play offense, but then, when it came down to it, I got out to train. And you know what? I'm going to tell this story. You probably don't even remember this. It was beautiful. It was probably like either the first or the second day of practice. And we're doing a drill where we're working on punt return. And guys are coming off the hash and they're doing the crackback, peel back blocks.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And I happened to be going with you. Now, at the time, I didn't know you were a psychopath killer on the football field because we've only been out there for 2 days. So I had no idea.
That's true. That's
and
true.
Listen, I was standing up and I was holding the dummy. And the guys are supposed to peel around and hit the dummy. So here I am, all casual, second day of practice, got my cleats on, jersey spatted up, looking sweet, you know what I mean? We're doing the drill. Here you come rolling. And I remember the look in your eye, and I'm like, dude, that dude is serious. He is really about this drill. You're getting closer, and I'm like, wait a minute.
No way.
He is not coming to hit this bag. It looks like he's coming right at me, but I'm like, he wouldn't come hit me. He knows to hit the dummy.
Oh, my
And sure enough,
no.
3 steps later, dude, you knifed me.
Oh, my God. I am
in
so
the leg.
sorry, man. Oh, my God.
You don't even remember that, do you?
I don't. No, I don't.
You're a psychopath. I love you. I went ass over tea kettle,
Oh, my
feet
God.
up in the air, and I didn't practice for the next 3 or 4 days because I had the biggest thigh bruise in the history.
Oh, my God. Todd, I am so
football.
sorry about that, dude. Oh,
But
my God.
But you know what, though? You introduced yourself to me, and I told myself, never again. I will never get caught
I'll
slipping.
never hold the bag again. However, you were asleep at one time because I do remember this. It had to be, was it Michigan? And I mean, I only know this because you mentioned it. And I kind of laughed about it, and then I remembered. I forgot either you made a play or I made a play. Something happened, and we were cheering, and I turned around, not thinking that I was going to punch you.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, I jack you like right in the chest.
Oh, no question. Oh, I remember that. That was against Miami.
Oh, what? Okay, I thought it was Michigan.
It was either Miami or Colorado because I know we were in the Orange Bowl.
Okay, all right, okay.
And you hit me, and you turned around, and you did one of your famous fist pumps in the air, like your Hulk blasting through the wall fist pumps.
Man.
Dude, you caught me right in the stomach, and I just remember your fist was like touching my spine, and I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to breathe for the next 2 or 3 minutes. This is going to be awful.
Oh my God, that is. I am so sorry, man. But you know what? I was just kind of. I had no idea.
Oh, I know.
But
Well, thank God we were next to our sideline because I thought, okay, well, at least I can just roll. So I did the mummy roll off the field, just trying to get out of the camera.
I feel terrible about that, man. I am so sorry, man.
Oh man,
So
that's
sorry.
good times though, man. Good times.
Okay, so you and I'm sure. I mean, this is kind of. I mean, you're obviously the next Tim Brown. So, what was the conversation when all of a sudden you weren't going to be Tim Brown anymore?
It was simple. We were kind of loaded at the wide receiver position, and Colts put it to me like this. He said, listen, you can wait till your sophomore year to play and start your junior year on offense, or you can play and start as a freshman on defense.
Okay.
And it made it real simple. So I was like, you know what? I'll go with plan B.
Really?
And yeah, I want to start. I want to.
I mean, did you call your dad, or was it just kind of automatically?
No. There was a little bit of a rocky. There was a little bit of a rocky deal. I remember we were at some function, and we were at this lake. Everyone's having a great time. It's like a barbecue. People are on the jet skis. People are playing tennis.
Yeah. Yep.
Remember up north in Michigan?
Yeah.
So everyone's having a blast, and I get this news at this barbecue, and I'm so distraught, and I'm thinking, you know what? And we were in Michigan. I could have just got on a bicycle.
Right.
I was done. I was like, Dad, these people are playing with me. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
And I remember calling my dad. I was like, I'm transferring. I was like, call Coach Saban. I'm out of here. I'm like, I'm right down the street from Lansing. We're like 45 minutes out. I can get there quick. And he was like, no, Todd, you're going to have to go to Notre Dame and play defense. And you know what? best thing that ever happened to me, you know.
Right. You know, and that's one of the things that I kind of think about it, not necessarily, and not knowing that you're 18. I mean, they have their boards in the rooms and stuff, and they kind of project and think, because one of the reasons why I didn't take a trip to Michigan was because I heard that Bo Schembechler wanted to turn me into a nose guard. So I was like, hey, I'm a linebacker, man. I'm like, absolutely not, man. I'm not putting my hand in the ground. Forget that.
Are you crazy?
Exactly.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I want to be a linebacker. Please. I'm sure somewhere down the line he was like, oh, yeah, he needs to get the ball more. But then when you got there, he was like, nope, DB. Like, what corner? What? Come on now.
Right. You know what? And you know what? I am a defender, you know, at heart. The game of football obviously is one of the most physical, demanding games, and it's an aggressive game. And I was definitely, you know, seeking contact. So it was a great decision. Love playing defense, you know, was able to, you know, parlay that into a 12-year career in the NFL. And it worked out, you know, phenomenally. But at the time, I thought Coach Holtz had no idea about football. I was like, this guy, I was like, how did this dude even get this job? Put me on defense? What's wrong with this guy?
Oh, my God. And I'm sure he's had that same conversation with thousands of kids, right?
And I love the man to death to this day.
So this kind of leads into my next question.
Yes.
Give me a Holtz story or kind of an experience that you kind of had with him that was memorable. I mean, you know, it doesn't have to necessarily be about football or anything.
No. This is great. This is great. You know, during the recruiting cycle, I want to say our signing day was like in February.
Okay.
And he was on the home visits in January. And I remember getting home and, you know, going through it. And it pretty much came down to, you know, Michigan State, Michigan, and Notre Dame, just the big three, you know, there, you know, being from Flint. And I remember talking to Coach, and he told me, he was like, you know what, I'm going to, like, when they could get on the road, he was like, I'm going to come see you first. And so, like, the first day that the coaches could get out on the road, he was at my school first. He didn't go to Emmett Smith School. He didn't go to Junior Seau School. He didn't go to Chris Zorich's school. He didn't go to Ricky Waters School. He came to little old Flint, Michigan to come see Todd Lyght. And that told me a lot. Like, if I'm first on his list, then that's my guy. Because where's everybody else? Yeah. But I just think it worked out in his travel plans better that way. But in my mind,
hey, it works for you. Hey, exactly.
In my mind, I was like, this is my guy. So and then there's another great story. So he's sitting in my house. This is a couple months later. Hey, baby, how are you?
They're too small.
Already?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. My daughter, come here, say hello. This is my daughter, Luca. Say hi.
Hello. Hi.
She's going through a growth spurt.
Nice.
And I bought her some new cleats, and they don't even fit.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got them before COVID hit, and then she didn't need them, and then COVID hit, and then she never even wore them. But at least I got the receipt, so we'll be good. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But that's my daughter. She just graduated the 5th grade. She'll be going into the 6th grade.
Watch out.
Yeah, exactly.
Is she an athlete? She has to be an athlete.
She is. She's a soccer player and a little track star.
So she got her skills from Stephanie or what, you know?
She did.
Okay. All right.
Got her skills from Stephanie, but her speed from me.
Fair enough. All right. Well, since you're talking about the kids, you have a son as well.
Absolutely. Logan, who is –
got to brag about him.
No question. He is just finished his freshman year in high school.
Okay,
and,
nice.
He's doing really well. He played on the freshman football team.
Okay.
And then he made the varsity team in track.
Wow.
He's a hurdler. Yeah. So that was pretty impressive. But it was kind of you know, he was just starting to get into stride, and he was hanging out with upperclassmen and, you know, doing some different things. And then when he was into the track season, and after about the 4th or 5th meet, you know, school got canceled. Well, not canceled, but, you know, they sent everybody home to do the distance learning. And that was an unfortunate incident for him. But you know what? He really likes his new school, and he's doing really well. He's gaining a lot of weight, getting some strength in him. And so he looks like a basketball player, but by the end of this year, he'll look like a football player.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how have you guys been coping? I mean, have you been kind of homeschooling, or are you kind of working them out in the yard? Or, I mean, how's that like?
So we were doing a lot of, you know, distance learning, and we're doing the homeschooling, which went pretty well. It was a little bit smoother for my daughter because I think the curriculum that they had set up at the public school right down the street, they did a really, really good job.
Okay.
The high school was a little bit different, you know, because modern day out here in California is such a hands-on school.
Okay.
So that was a different situation for them. You know, they handled it really, really well, but I just didn't think they were prepared to go as long, you know, as it was, because it was a little bit tough at the beginning with the player and teacher engagement, you know, but once everybody got the Zoom system down and, you know, started meeting online, they were able to, you know, be very comprehensive with their teaching and their learning. So it was really, really good towards the end. So, yeah, I was pleased.
Okay, so are you in charge of the academics or Stephanie, or how's that work?
No, it's a tag team. It's a tag team effort. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Usually I'm an early riser, and so is Lucas. So we kind of do our thing in the morning, and then Logan gets up and then he gets after it. But you know, they did a really, really good job of managing their time and getting better and more efficient with their time management.
See, and that's one of the things I think that's going to benefit young people that had a chance to experience this.
Right.
Is that, I mean, this is something that no one knew was going to happen. And then all of a sudden they're kind of thrown into it. And, you know, it's just a challenge. I mean, what do you do? You know, and I mean, you know, it's not going to last forever, but let's see, you know, what challenges. And, you know, it sounds like you guys kind of faced them and have been doing well. So.
You know, we always just talk about, you know, the mark of greatness is consistency. So let's just be consistent with our effort and our attitude and, you know, just whatever that we have to get done. I says, look, some days are going to be easy. Some days are going to be mellow, but some days are going to be really hard. And we have to learn to push through them. You know what I mean? Because then the easy days are coming. And so we constantly work on that. And I think the kids did a really good job. I think I will be happy with the report cards because I told them, I said, listen, you know, I don't know what's going to happen this summer, but you know what I mean? If you take care of your business in terms of school, I know it's going to be a great summer. If you don't take care of your academics, then, you know, summer's not going to be so fun. So they like to enjoy their summer, so they get after it.
It sounds like a good coach. Ladies and gentlemen, we are listening to Todd Lyght, Super Bowl champion, two-time All-American at Notre Dame. And I want to brag a little bit, my co-captain. Not that that's a big deal, but my co-captain. So I want to finish up at Notre Dame a little bit. So give me kind of, in you know, for those folks who might be listening, might not understand why this is, but I think it's really important that when you're at Notre Dame, your first year, you don't room with an athlete. Now, you can later, you have a chance to pick and choose who you want to live with, but your first year, you have a chance to kind of hang out with the students. But more importantly, you actually live in a dorm on campus. So there's no athletic dorm or stuff like that. And, you know, depending on the situation, I mean, I roomed with Kent Graham my freshman year, you know, but we were in just a regular dorm. So first question is, what dorm did you live in? Okay. Do you have experience from that dorm you'd like to tell us about? And secondly, think about this. Give me a non-athletic experience that you really kind of think fondly of when you think of that time in Notre Dame. Right.
You know what? For me, I was at the Manor. So Morrissey Manor was my dorm. Okay. You know, I'm a Manor guy, and you know what I mean? Affluent, elite. You know, we're good.
There you go.
Yeah, and but I had like the worst room in the dorm.
What do you mean?
First of all, I was on the 4th floor in the top right. So like, you know how they had them old heaters in there? So like in the wintertime, all the heat would rise. I mean, we must have been just sitting on top of the thing, and it was like, it would get so steamy. I mean, it'd be like 30 degrees. We had the windows cracked open. It was so hot in that room.
Who was your roommate?
My roommate was Andre Jones, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think that because, you know, we were roommates in summer school. So Andre and I came before our freshman year to go to summer school.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. My dad said you could go get a job digging ditches and installing sprinkler systems in the hot Georgia sun, and, you know what I mean? Or go to school. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go read some books.
Nice. So who was there? Do you remember who was there from our class? I mean, you and Andre,
anybody else? I lived across from Tim. No, Andre and I were the only freshmen.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tim Grunhart was Joe Farrell would across the hall from us. Okay. Foley was there. Who else was there? There was a couple other people there, man. But it was a great time. You know, Anthony Johnson was there. Tony was there. And we had a good time, man. And those guys really took care of us, took us under their wing, and
that's awesome,
you know, showed us what, you know, being at the University of Notre Dame was all about.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you got a couple weeks, couple months before the rest of your class comes in. So you have a chance to get acclimated, which I think is great.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things where, you're a freshman, you're 18, you're kind of nervous about what's going on. Then all of a sudden you get these upperclassmen kind of taking care of you, man. That's kind of a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful, man. I mean, Notre Dame, like people come from all over. Like, here's an interesting story. So, in junior high school, I went to St. Mary's Catholic, and it's in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay.
So this is before I moved in with my father down into Georgia. I'm living with my mom in Virginia. So I'm going to this school, and there was a young man named Tim O'Shaughnessy who was in my 7th and 8th grade class. Outstanding basketball player, great kid, like one of really popular kid. We had a lot of fun together. And he used to always carry around this Notre Dame folder. And it had the map of the campus on it. And he was always like, yeah, O'Shaughnessy Hall, that's my hall. And I was like, no, it's not. Anyways, fast forward like 2 years later. I'm sorry, not 2 years, 6 years after high school, we go to the freshman, get together,
Okay.
meet and greet, and there he is.
No way.
Tim O'Shaughnessy. And he runs up and was like, Todd, what's going on? Oh my God, you're here at Notre Dame. And I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, I told you that was my hall.
Like literally.
Like literally. Yeah, I think his grandfather donated the building. So
Right, exactly.
So he had a smooth in, but I mean, it was great. It was like, I got to Notre Dame, like I'm feeling it, whatever. And then I already knew somebody who was in my class. So it was wonderful, man. So
That is awesome.
I felt at home, you know what I mean?
That is awesome, man.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're there. And I really think, I'm obviously a little partial, but I think we wanted our class, and maybe Holtz's first class as well with Dean and Stoney and those guys. I really think we're the ones who changed the attitude. And
There's no question. We were definitely the energy, the spark, that brought a little bit of edge, to that school. And obviously we took the lead from guys like Pat, Stoney,
right.
Tony, you know what I mean? But then we just pushed the envelope. We're like, okay, guys, this is the direction that we're going to go, but we're going to do it at this velocity, and we're going to gain this momentum, and we're going to roll and crush everything in our path. You know what I mean? And then once everybody understood, okay, well, the freshmen, they're out of their minds. We like that. Let's go with what they got. You know what I mean? You know what's really interesting? I'll never forget. You might not even remember this. So it's our freshman year, and we're playing Alabama. You know what I mean? They got Derek Thomas. They're loaded.
Right.
They're loaded. They come into South Bend, and because they were so fast and because they had so much speed, coach was like, you know what? We have to play the young guys because we need speed.
Wow.
So he played all the young guys. I'm playing. Ricky's playing. T. Brooks is playing. Andre Jones is playing. Colo's playing. All the young guys are playing. And we beat Alabama, right?
Wow.
So, I'm like floating. You probably don't even remember this because you probably – I don't know. Did you play that game?
No, I didn't play it all. It's a long story. I didn't play it all,
So
I was actually mad at you guys, but that's a whole different story.
Dude, so we beat Alabama. So, I'm going to class. I'm not even walking. I'm, levitating across campus.
That's crazy.
Dude, I've arrived. I'm going to start every game now. Don't worry about it. He put me right on the bench, and I don't think I played for another 2 games. Because he wanted to temper us and not let us taste success too fast. You know what I mean?
Crazy. For him to think that, I mean, that's
because
what.
It's smart, though, because you know what? Our heads might have gotten too big.
Oh, my God. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and here's my story. My freshman year, that was kind of motivation for me.
Yes.
Because I didn't play at all. And so what was happening was Kent, Tim Ryan, Ricky, all the guys, I liked all the guys I hung out with.
Right.
They all went to the seminary. And so after the meeting, you remember that the night before the game.
Right.
And I remember this vividly, dude. And this is my motivation. Literally, we walked from Loftus. Basically, y'all got on the bus to go over to Moreau. And then, a handful of us walked back to our dorms.
Right.
And
that was a tough pill to swallow.
Hey man. And then it's because a lot of the guys from my class played. You just mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And so they're a special team. I wasn't even on special teams, dude. I ain't play at all.
Right.
So I'm walking back to the door. I'm like, man, this will never happen again. So like Monday at practice, I was trying to kill people because I was like, oh no, this is my game right now. So that's kind of why I may have gotten this attitude about, not playing and stuff like that. Because I was just, it was kind of a chip on my shoulder. Although I love the hell out of you guys, I just wanted to beat somebody's ass.
But just think about the competition level that we had in practice, like how the intensity of it. And that was the one thing, like when I went back to the university, and listen, the game has changed, right? It's more spread, it's more throw, it's more protect the players, But when we played, it was smash mouth, cloud of dust, football.
Right, exactly.
Throwing haymakers, throwing forearms. You can get in a little melee before the game. Nobody's getting ejected. It's all good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's a little bit different. So, when I started coaching at Notre Dame, it was like the competitive intensity, it was not at the same level. And that was really, really hard for me to, like, okay, we're trying to get better. We're trying to beat all the best teams in the country. But competitively, our intensity is not what I was used to. But the kids are different though now. You know what I mean? Now they compete hard. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But just the level of intensity, like all the time, it just wasn't the same.
Really? So I mean, is that? And I have a theory behind. Like my personal theory is that when they start giving participation trophies to everybody,
that does something to it.
They kind of went a little bit downhill after that. But I mean, as a coach, and I was going to talk about this before, but Greg brought it up. I mean, how do you coach a kid today? When you talk about that, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I could never be a coach because I'm just used to one speed.
Yes. And,
and I know I've talked to you about this before and Pat has talked to you, but I mean, how do you coach a kid these days? I mean, is it more
the thing about it is like the kids that we get at the University of Notre Dame, they're phenomenal. Some kids get there, it doesn't work out for whatever reason. They don't stay and they have to move on. And that's just part of it. But the kids that really understand Notre Dame and you really go into it with the right attitude and with the great work ethic, they're going to figure a way out. You know what I mean? They're going to figure it out in some kind of way, shape, or form. Now, some might take 12 months, some might take 24 months, some might take 36 months, but they're eventually going to figure it out. You know what I mean? And that's what was great with working with our guys because we had such quality young men, and they just worked their tails off. And I tell you what. In the last 3 years, we won, double-digit games. And we did some really, really good things, having an undefeated scene, obviously, going up against Clemson. Now, listen, that Clemson team, you look at – if you count this year's draft coming up, they probably had like 12 first-rounders on that team.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Not only first-rounders, but potential first-rounders. Right. I mean, they were phenomenal. I remember that's like the prettiest college football team I ever seen. They came running around the stadium, and I was like, holy smack. And I'll never forget because the one wide receiver, number 8, Ross, right? Okay. So I'm watching the tape, and I'm like, this guy's the best player on the field, and he's a freshman. And the other kid, the quarterback, he was a freshman at the time, and he's just throwing these lasers.
My God. Listen,
he's throwing these lasers, Chris, in pregame, and I'm looking at them, and they look just like John Elway's ball. I'm serious. And I'm like, this kid is like crazy. This kid is like 18, 19 years old just throwing lasers. And I'll never forget, Justin Ross comes running out. And then they have another big, great-looking number 8, and it's A.J. Terrell, the corner.
Yeah.
Trying to recruit. Yep. And I'm like, golly, they got 2 of them? Just this last draft, Terrell was like the 8th pick to the Cardinals.
That's crazy.
To the Atlanta Falcons. And so, that was a tough one. And listen, they had a phenomenal team, but our kids played their heart out. They won a lot of football games. The thing that I really respected about our players was, the way they went about their business and the way that they handled, everything that we asked of them with the grace and maturity.
Right. And I have to think that I mean, the way you're describing it, how you felt as a coach, I mean, that had to be how coaches thought and felt when they were playing us in like 89 and 90, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you're talking about not even first rounders, but the fact that, I mean, we hadn't lost the game. We took Miami off of their crown, at least for 1 year.
Yes.
But the idea that, we kind of came in there, a lot of folks didn't know who we were. And then all of a sudden, we get people drafted in the first round, which hadn't happened in a long time.
I think our freshman year when Tim won the Heisman, as a senior really kind of shined the beacon on our school. And then once the beacon was on, you know what I mean, the gold helmets just started glittering, and we were making it look good. You know, we were making it look good. I mean, really, really good. You know how we did it. And, you know, I take a lot of pride in that. I really do. And it's like, I remember going into the NFL. I remember getting my first day of practice, and I'm sitting around, I'm looking at the locker room. Now, this is the Los Angeles Rams now. Okay? The Los Angeles Rams. And I'm thinking to myself, half these punks couldn't play on our team in Notre Dame. And that's real.
Nice.
I'm going to just leave it at that. And that was real.
Nice.
Now, that was that team I was drafted on. Now, when we got to our Super Bowl team, that was a little bit different.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the team that I was drafted on, I was like, half these guys couldn't play with us.
That's crazy.
And I know. And that's what I thought. Because like in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm going to the NFL, man. I'm going to the Rams. And then you get there, and you're like,
garbage.
Dude, who are these guys?
Wow.
Yeah, but
That's
I mean, we had a couple good
crazy.
players, but not enough to win at that level. And so it took us, you know, and that was another tough pill. I had never been on a losing team until I got into the NFL.
Exactly.
And so I would call my dad after games, upset, steaming, you know, and you know, he used to talk me off the ledge. I mean, every Sunday, I know he was just like, and it was so funny because he would never fly to come to the games.
Really?
Because we weren't any good. He didn't want to deal with me in person after the class.
That's great. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Todd Lyght, Super Bowl champion, two-time All-American. And again, I'm going to throw this in. My co-captain, our senior year. I just want to talk one more story about Notre Dame.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is true or not. I've never asked you this personally.
Okay.
Did you have something in your scholarship that allowed you to spat your shoes?
You know what?
Because this has been a rumor, and it's been a rumor for 30 years, man. I mean, and Pat told me the story, so I kind of half believe it. But
this is what it came down to. So in January, you know, the signing day is like February 6th. Coach Holtz is at my house like in the mid-January. You know, he's trying to solidify the class. You know, I'm ready to make a decision. I'm ready to get it over with because I just didn't feel like dealing anymore. And so I remember him sitting there, Vinny Serrato sitting there, my dad is sitting there, and we're talking, and he finishes, and he's like, well, do you have any questions? And I was like, yeah, I got a question. So I get up, I walk into my room, I bring out a program. I brought my program from our coach, Coach Tucker, had brought us to the Notre Dame Penn State game. It was like the last game of the season.
okay.
Colts versus Paterno, and actually Notre Dame lost. But it was still amazing, though, because it was like snowing and it was like under the lights. And I thought, oh, my God, if I get on that field, it's going to be on. And so I come out, and then I show him the book, and I'm going through, and I'm like, Coach, I see that number one is going to be available. And then I turn around, and I can push him. I push him the paperwork, and then he's looking at it, and he's like, yeah, I think so. And he shows it to Vinny Serrato. I was like, yeah, number one's going to be available. And I was like, I would like to wear number one if I came to the University of Notre Dame. And he's like, if you come to the University of Notre Dame, you will wear number one.
Nice.
And then I was like, okay, I'm coming to the University of Notre Dame. And then I committed right there on the spot. And I knew I was going to commit, but I wanted to secure my number.
Hey, there you go.
And then after everybody was feeling good and everybody was happy and, you know, shaking hands and hugging everything, I was like, Coach, I want to spat too. And he's like, absolutely.
Really? So it is true.
Yes,
wow.
it is.
Wow.
So I kind of smoothed in the number early.
That's impressive.
Then when everything was feeling good and everybody was all jolly, I knew he was going to say yes to the next one.
Well, and here's the reason why I say this. Because, and I'm a defensive line. I don't care about spatting my shoes.
Right.
But game time came, and Todd was only due with spatted shoes. Now, for those folks who might not know what spatted is, that means that not only do you, I mean, I'm sure your ankle was taped, but then you put your shoes on, and then around that, you're actually putting tape as well. So this is kind of a big thing.
No, you know what? No, for me, I didn't tape my ankles. I just spatted.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't tape my ankles. Sometimes I tape my ankles, but not all the time.
Okay. All right. Now, at that point, we were with Adidas, right? Did you have to draw lines on the tape, or?
Sometimes I did. Sometimes I didn't.
Okay. All right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes I would just do it on the outside and leave the inside white. And then sometimes I would do the outside and the inside in pregame so everybody wouldn't think about it. But then I would spat it over white Because when the game started, nobody cared. You know what I mean? But but it mattered to me though.
Of course. Now, folks, the guys listen. I mean, this is not necessarily a really big deal for folks maybe watching, but for a player, I mean, it's literally, it is everything. I mean, just knowing that you look good, you look tight, you know, you're ready to go out there and play. So the fact that I finally got the true story,
right?
I can't wait to tell Pat. Hopefully Pat's listening. I'm going to give him a call after we talk. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. Draft day, right? So I don't know how it was for you. Did you know you were going to go high? I mean, how was that? Where were you at? I mean, kind of share with us.
You know what was interesting? So I was drafted in 1991, and actually I was the only player invited to the draft.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was the NFL draft hadn't really got to that point. I think they started going really big in around 95, 96.
Okay.
But at that point, I was the only player brought in. And I was sitting in the green room waiting, and the order went, Dallas had the number 1 pick. Cleveland had the number 2 pick. Atlanta Falcons had the number 3 pick. Denver had the number 4 pick. Rams had the 5th pick. And the Chargers, Arizona, I think Arizona. Somebody had the 6th pick, and I know the Chargers had the 7th pick.
Okay.
And I had talked to the general manager of the Chargers the night before the draft, and he said, if you're there at 7, we're taking you. So I knew worst case scenario, I was going to go 7.
Right. Worst case.
You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, I was going to go 7. So I was good with that. You know what I mean? That was
of course.
Feeling. And it just, waited for my turn. And another funny thing, so during the recruiting process, with the NFL they were trying to bring players in. So I didn't go to Dallas. I knew I wasn't going to be the first pick because they never flew me down. But Cleveland, who had the 2nd pick, Bill Belichick was the head coach at the time, and Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator.
No way.
And so, they were really thinking about me, taking me at the number 2 spot because of my relationship with Coach Saban.
Right.
And then also, obviously, he was at Michigan State, and then, he knew all about me and was like, you know what, maybe we need it because they were going to go defensive back. So I was 2 or 3 candidates that they were thinking about taking. And I remember somebody from the Cleveland Browns organization called me and were like, listen, we're going to send a plane for you to bring you out for a weekend. So we can have you here to the facility and, meet you and interview you and, we can show you around Cleveland. I said, don't do that. They're like, why? I'm like, because I'm not playing professional football in Cleveland.
No way.
And I was going to Cleveland. Well, listen, think about it.
Wow.
I went to high school in Michigan. I went to college in Indiana. There was no way I was going to play professional football in Ohio, dude.
That's crazy. Oh my God! So you tell them, no, I'm good.
Well, listen. I mean, what's the difference? You go to Cleveland at 2, or you go to the Chargers at 7?
Right. No, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's a couple $1 million, but still.
If it's the first pick, you got to do the Baker Mayfield. You got to go to Cleveland. But it was the 2nd pick. It wasn't the same. You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
In my mind, 2 through 10 was the same thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I fell to the Rams, and it worked out really, really well. Phenomenal organization. Being out here with LA was great. Love it out here. Just moved back, happier as ever. And we went to St. Louis, great sports town.
Well, all right. So I was going to ask you about that. I mean, so you drafted from LA. This was great. I know Pat's there.
Yes.
Right? Pat's you guys hanging out.
Yeah, Pat's
you guys are roommates, right?
I was living with Pat.
Oh my Lord.
Pat had this beautiful house.
No way.
Yeah, out in Laguna Niguel, like in this really nice neighborhood, Ocean Ranch. I mean, there was like waterfall, gated community.
Wow.
And I remember going to his house, and he was like, well, where do you want to live? I'm like, dude, I'm going to live here. You out of your mind?
That's
I'm
awesome.
That room right there.
Right.
Yeah. That room right there that has no furniture in it, that's my room.
Oh, my God.
And so I lived with Pat my rookie season. It was phenomenal, man. We had a blast. Didn't win a lot of games.
Right.
We had a blast and really, really got a chance to experience some things on the West Coast. And, I had been all in with the Orange County area because I never forget our first time we played USC our freshman year. We're staying in Newport.
Okay.
At the Marriott. And it's around Thanksgiving. The Christmas lights are up and it's all festive. And I remember going to a couple malls and thinking, oh, my God, people really live like this?
Wow.
I thought this was in the movie.
Wow.
And then getting drafted and being able to come back out here is wonderful. Met my wife. Actually, our anniversary is coming up this month. It'll be our 19th anniversary.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome,
thank you.
man.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And, everything's going good, man. Very, very
All right,
happy.
so hold on. So give me one Todd Lyght Pateo story. Your rookie year, his second year in LA, that you could actually tell.
Yeah. So, for me, Pat was the best because, we'd be in practice and, we'd be getting after it and, our intensity was up. But in the professional ranks, you have to take care of the players because there's only 53 guys on the roster.
Right.
It couldn't be like a practice that we had where you can knock like 2 or 3 guys out, but there's, guys on deck to come in and play.
Right,
Exactly.
Like that, exactly.
What I mean? And so, I remember one day Pat was getting into it with this one particular player. Me having his back, I was like, okay, Pat. I said, that's the guy. He's like, that's the guy. We took him out in practice. We hit him with a old school Malachi crunch.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
I always got to have my guys back. Even when we were in the league, I mean, we were still tight. It was Notre Dame over the Rams because that's just who we were and what we were all about.
Well, and it's amazing. I mean, first of all, the fact that, one, I mean, you have a chance to be drafted. I mean, that in itself is impressive. But then you have a chance, selfishly, you have a chance to be with your boy, who, you've known for the last 3-4 years of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's no question. You know who else was on that team? Frank Stamms was on that team.
No, really? Oh, wow, that's right, yeah.
It was me, Frank, and Pat.
Wow.
So I was right at home. I had my 2 big brothers. They would like to tell me.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So it was wonderful, man, and wonderful experience. And I'm still close with Frank to this day. We talk every now and then. He's out in Ohio doing his thing, and
that is awesome.
But those were my guys because listen, we came up together. We grew up together. Those are my brothers.
Wow, the odds. Okay, so explain what happens to an organization when they move to a different city. Right. I mean, what the heck is that like? I mean, are they? I mean, for the employees, it's one thing. They have to go, right, the administration. But the players, I mean, y'all had to be like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, L.A. to St. Louis?
I know, and I think I bought a house like a year before.
No.
And then people were asking me, "Are you going to sell your house?" I'm like, "No, I'm not going to sell my house. I'm going to keep my house. I'm moving back. When the season's over, I'm coming back to California."
Right, exactly. I'm renting in St. Louis. Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, but you know what though? Had a great time in St. Louis. Met a lot of wonderful people. Made some great friendships. The one thing about that city that was wonderful, man, the support that they had for that team. Okay. And I mean, when we were at full force, when we were like hitting on all cylinders, that stadium would be packed, 75,000 plus, and there would be another 30,000 people outside of the stadium party.
No.
Yeah, that town knows how to support successful pro teams, and so that was an amazing experience. Love that place. And then but obviously, when they moved back to LA, it was kind of bittersweet for me because we go there, we win the championship, we become one of the greatest teams in the history of the franchise, and then they move cities. So I was a little bit crushed for St. Louis, but at the same time, I was kind of hyped for LA, you know what I mean? Because it's like, we back, baby.
Right.
We back. And, the fans here never left, and, they've always supported the Rams. And so it's going to be interesting. They got that new stadium in Inglewood going up, and, Sean McVay does a really, really great job with that team, and I had a chance to meet him, and I'm really interactive with the organization still. I'm writing a letter to one of their rookies this year, and
nice.
Going to mentor him a little bit in terms of his transition from the college football to the NFL, and just really trying to reach out and just give back, not only to the organizations that helped me along the way, but mostly the kids that I'm working with now on a daily basis.
Sure. Now you were very kind. You kind of glossed over this, but I mean, you won a Super Bowl. I mean, come on. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I love my national championship ring, but you want to? I mean, what was that like? I mean, this is a game you played with since you were a kid.
No question.
Now, and then you have a chance to actually like win like the top of the. I mean, the pinnacle. I mean, what was that like?
It was interesting too because I was drafted in '91. The class of '92 was all removed from the team either by trade or, they're out of football. 93, same thing. 94 was Isaac Bruce's class. So Keith Lyle, Toby Wright were in that class. DeMarco Farr from the University of Washington were in that class. And those are the second guys behind me. So there's like 2 years and then the next group. And so, it took us 9 years to get there. And I mean, it took us 5 or 6 years just to become a winning organization.
Wow.
But to finally get to that 9th year, and I never forget, we clinched the division against the Carolina Panthers. We were division champs for the first time, had home field advantage. And I remember thinking, we're going to win it all because everybody just understands we might not ever get back to here. And we had some savages on our team.
Wow.
And I never forget, we got into the playoffs, beat a great Minnesota Viking team with Chris Carter, Randy Moss, that group, Randall Cunningham, phenomenal group. Played a tough team against Tampa. Tony Dungy coached Tampa team with Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, those guys, phenomenal team. And they got on, a chance to play, the Tennessee Titans and coached by Jeff Fisher, led by Steve McNair and Eddie George and, phenomenal football team. And it was a battle. It really, really was a battle. And I'll never forget the last series we go out with and it's 2-minute offense. And Chris, I have never wanted to come out of a game for being tired. I wanted to come out of a game for, getting the wind knocked out of me or getting, my knee banged up or whatever, but I couldn't perform.
Right.
Get me out of the game until I can perform at a high level. But I was so exhausted because both teams just played so hard.
Wow.
And I never thinking, they got to the 50-yard line. And there's a scene where Kevin Carter and DeMarco Farr come out on the second down because they needed to get a breath to go back in and rush on third down. And Dick Vermeil's looking at him like, you went out of the game? But nobody knows how we were exhausted. And both teams were. Right. But I knew on the last play of the game that the ball wasn't coming to my man because, I was having an all-pro year that year.
Uh-huh.
Steve McNair knew what the game plan was to avoid me at all costs.
Right.
Those guys broke the huddle. And listen, their head coach, Jeff Fisher, he was the defense coordinator of the Rams. He drafted me. So he already knew what time it was.
Wow.
He wanted to win the Super Bowl. He didn't want to lose. So he was going to my man. He knew what time it was. And then I looked at the receiver when he came out of the huddle. I looked him in his eyes. It was Mason from Michigan State.
Okay.
And I was like, he put his eyes down on the ground. I was like, yeah,
you do it.
He don't want none. He don't want none.
Meanwhile, you're
so I told everybody, get ready. Hey, get ready. Ball ain't coming here.
And in the back of your head, you were like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah.
So exhausted.
But you know what's so funny? So when he would say hike and the ball would snap, you would just find this surge of energy, right? Surge of energy, little adrenaline. But after they blew the whistle, you would be so exhausted, you feel like you want to pass out again. But it was true elation. Playing with guys like Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Orlando Pace, Grant Windstrom, Keith Lyle, Mike Jones, London Fletcher, Kevin Carter. We were some dudes, man. We were some dudes. Yeah. But we were so bad for so long that we accumulated all these really good draft picks. And then we got our coach Vermeil, and we just gelled. And then we got the superstar, Marshall.
Right.
He was completely different. He just completely changed the game because he was so dynamic. They had to focus on him. That just opened everything up. And then Kurt just went crazy.
Wow. Because that was a year when he threw a gazillion yards or something like that, right?
Yeah. You know what? I love Kurt, man. I just talked to him the other day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
So he's doing great. He's doing great. He's in Arizona. He's coaching high school ball with his son. His son's a quarterback at, I think, Brophy High School. But, when all this thing broke out with the, with the civil unrest and, the revolution that's going on with the Black Lives Matter, and just, people just understanding where we need to take our human civility to a next level. He just reached out and was like, brother, do you need anything? Are you all right? Do you want to talk? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I appreciated that.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. But that dude Kurt he's that type of guy. You know what I mean? He's a really, really great man and a great leader and love the guy to death. And he was one of those teammates like us. You know what I mean? That's my brother for the rest of my life.
That's amazing, guy. Wow. That is amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to the Todd Lyght, Super Bowl champ. He just kind of shared that amazing experience with us. And he was a two-time All-American Notre Dame. And again, I'm going to say this because I love the fact that we're co-captains. And which is kind of cool, right? Because at the time, well, at least for me, at the time, I didn't understand, what that meant. right? I mean, I wasn't politicking for it. I mean, it just
Right.
happened.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so interesting that it wound up being kind of 2 guys on offense and 2 guys on defense. So it
Right.
was Ricky Waters, Mike Hell, you, and myself.
Yes.
And it was funny because although we had great guys on the team, it almost like I assumed, not necessarily about me, but I assumed it was going to be you, Ricky, and Mike. And I just kind of knew that. And I wasn't very vocal.
Right.
And I mean, I was just kind of a quiet guy. I mean, I did my work, but
Right.
I mean, it was amazing because I was so honored. But then at the time, I'm okay, cool, whatever, captain. I was a captain in high school, like big deal. But then as you get older,
Yeah,
you realize like why that happened. And it's crazy, dude. Like I'll be walking down the street or I'll be talking to somebody and you realize when somebody looks to you to do something, then I'm thinking like, oh, that's what these guys saw. Even though like I wasn't like trying to, hey, I want to be a captain.
Well, you know what's interesting? Yeah, you weren't that vocal, but you kind of were the lead by example guy. And the thing about you that was what I love, when you think of our team in the mental and the physical toughness, that our team was, you personified that. You were the guy who was the tip of the spear. And that's what, as a football player, that's the guy you always want to be. You always want to be the player that everyone can depend on in the crucial situation, that you have the confidence, the clarity, the understanding to get the job done, regardless of the situation. And that's who you were. You know what I mean? All I had to know is like, look, if Chris is over the ball and this is their best receiver, we got a shot at winning. And they want to throw it, we got a shot at winning. That's how I looked at it. I really did. You know what I mean? And being with you, Ricky, and myself, I mean, golly, what a great group, man. And I still have that picture too.
I do too.
I still have that picture, and it's hanging in my office. I'm in my loft area.
Nice.
But it's hanging in my office. I still got that shot, man. It's a great photo, brother.
It's awesome, man. Awesome. All right. So now you made this, an amazing experience, amazing NFL career. You ended up with the Lions. Was that kind of by choice, or how did that work out?
It's interesting. So Kevin Warren, this is another Notre Dame connection.
Correct.
Kevin Warren who's now the Big Ten commissioner.
Right.
Went to undergrad with my brother at Arizona State. He got his law degree at the University of Notre Dame.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Dude, this is family. I met him on campus when he was studying for his law degree. Boom, we worked together and win a Super Bowl at the Rams together.
Right.
He goes over and takes over operations for Detroit and was like, Todd, do you want to come back to Michigan and come home and play? And I was like, yeah, because my time at the Rams had ended.
Okay.
And I thought, what better way to come full circle and go back home and play?
Right.
And it was amazing, man. It was great. I was like, I got to play in the Silverdome where I played high school ball at.
That's
and then we moved into Ford Field and, scored a game. I scored a touchdown in Ford Field and my last game I ever played in. So, man.
That's awesome, man.
Very thankful for the opportunity. But, again, that was Notre Dame family taking care of Notre Dame family.
Sure. Okay.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
No, very true. So now you spent some time in the media as a radio analyst.
Yes.
Was that something you wanted to do, or had you been thinking about it? I know Pat in the off season wanted to be a pilot, so you did a pilot thing, right? But did you just kind of fall into it, or was something you wanted to do?
No, you know what? I wanted to get into television. An opportunity came up with Fox. Went down, met the producer of the show. We hit it off really, really well. Got a chance to work for Fox for 4 years. Amazing experience. I loved it. Doing radio was fun. But at the time when I was doing it, it was like I wanted to do more. I had some other activities going on, and I kind of wanted to explore some of my business options. Me and my partners own some pizzerias, so I did that for a while.
Okay.
Then I had another group of partners where we opened up Suture Lounge in Newport Beach, which was one of the most successful restaurant clubs in the early 2000s. That was great. Sold my stake in that late in like 2008, 2009, and got into coaching. And then, but I was just trying all these different things outside of football just to kind of, because I dedicated like so much of my life to the game. I just wanted to try different things.
Sure, why not?
And yeah, exactly. It was a wonderful experience. It really, really was. And I learned a lot about myself. You know, it was amazing. I'm truly grateful for those experiences. But at the end of the day, you know, football came calling again, and I had to get back into the game. And, you know, if you can't play, you got to coach. And so started doing that, where I joined Tony Sanchez's staff at Bishop Gorman High School.
Which is amazing. I mean, he was a legend, right? And he was
Well, listen,
a high school legend.
I get there. You're going to love this story. I had to try out to be a coach.
Really?
So I get there. So Tony knows me, whatever. We're talking. He'd just taken over the program. It hasn't turned into the juggernaut, right?
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
We're just starting. Okay.
No way.
So, you know, it's Fertitta Field, the whole thing. The Fertitta brothers, the guys that own, you know, UFC Station Casino, the whole thing. Like, these guys are just rolling. There's like the $10 million high school football field. We got all the best equipment.
Oh, my God.
And so I'm playing golf with a buddy of mine. And I was like, man, I want to get into coaching. He was like, you should coach in my son's school. And I was like, where's that? He's like, Bishop Gorman. He's like, they got great facilities. They got a new coach. I'll put you in touch with them. So I go meet Tony. You're going to love this. So go meet Tony. We're talking. He's like, okay, great. I'm going to make you the defensive coordinator of the freshman team. And I was like, all right. So
Okay.
I'm the freshman. I'm just like, whatever, let's do this. So I'm the freshman. He's just like, all you got to do, but you got to make sure you run our defense and call it the way we call it. So, you know, the kids understand the terminology and the nomenclature and everything like that.
Right.
So I'm the freshman defensive coordinator for probably, I don't know, 5-7 days.
Okay.
And he was like, and listen, I had the freshman role and we were doing work. And he was like, you know what? Scratch that. You're going to be the secondary coach for the varsity.
Wow. After 7 days. That's
7 days.
a
So
really good interview.
Hey, so he made me try out. I made the cut.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we went on to win 2 state titles.
That's crazy.
And I left there to go to the University of Oregon. And then after that, they won like 3 national championships and, you know, probably another 4 or 5 more state titles. But, yeah, I was there at the beginning of that Bishop Gorman tidal wave.
So now you've kind of tasted this type of success for yourself, college, pro. I mean, how was it as a coach teaching? Now you're teaching, you know, 15, 16-year-old kids. I mean,
I loved it.
What's really?
I loved high school. High school was great, man. I mean, those kids were so funny, and they are so young too, because sometimes, you know, they forget that you're the coach and you're standing around like when they're like by themselves and having their conversations, and just like listening to some of their conversations. I mean, just classic, epic. And then I'll never forget, one day I walked into the locker room. It was after a practice, but it was a hot practice, you know, being out in Las Vegas. It was like 115 on the turf. And these guys were playing the Miley Cyrus song. Put your hands up, playing all around.
Right.
Whatever it was. And these kids are just dancing, having the best time in the locker room. And I was like, oh, my God, these guys are living the best life. They are having too much fun. And, you know, and that's what I love about being around those young guys, man, that, you know, that their youth, their energy, their passion for learning and playing the game, that always really, really inspired me to help them try to reach, you know, their highest level. And so that's the great thing for me, you know, that I took away from, you know, being able to coach those kids at a high school level and the collegiate level.
All right. So Oregon, Vanderbilt for like 30 seconds, and then Notre Dame. So, yeah. I mean, how is that? And it's so different. And folks who might not understand that, I mean, playing and going there is one thing. I mean, I worked there.
Right.
So I kind of understand that. But having a chance to coach there, I mean, it would be so hard for me not to knock one of these knuckleheads in the face or in the head when it's like, you know, do you know, I mean, I bled on this field.
No, we had some great kids, man. Like when I first got there, Ronnie Stanley, the offensive lineman who now plays for the Ravens.
Right.
I coached him in high school at Gorman.
No way.
You're going to love this story. My first day at Oregon, I get to Oregon, right? They're having a recruiting meeting. This is my first day at Oregon.
Okay.
And so we're sitting in the recruiting meeting. The way Chip Kelly had it set up was everyone had an iPad, and the player's video would come on. You would watch the video, and then you would rank like his speed, his strength, his size, and like it was like 1 to 10. And every coach would input, and then the average grade would come out for that player, and then they would, you know what I mean? Because they wanted everybody to have input on a particular player to get their scores. So it was really cool. And so I'm an analyst. I don't have an iPad, but I'm sitting in the back of the room, and they're like, Bishop Gorman. They're like, Todd, that's your school. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what do you think about this Ronnie Stanley guy? Now, at the time, Ronnie was a basketball player. He was skinny. He didn't really lift weights. His dad thought he was going to be a hooper. And we kept trying to tell his dad, like his junior year, like, your son is an offensive lineman. He was like, no, he's a hooper. We're like, no,
oh my God.
He's not. And, you know, going into a senior year, he's got 30 offers in Division I football, and he's got like 1 offer in basketball. And his dad was like, yeah, I think you guys are right. And we're like, yeah, we know. But the kid missed like 24 months of lifting. Anyways, he could run like the wind.
Okay.
And I knew he had the size and the frame to put it on, and he was a great athlete.
Right.
And they all turned around. They're like, Todd, what do you think about this guy? And I said, he's great. You should definitely offer him. And the offensive line coach was like, I don't like him. His butt's not big enough.
No
And I was
way.
like, yeah. And I told him the whole thing about the dad, and I tried to tell him, and I said, listen, if he goes to a really good school, he's going to be a first-round draft pick. And I said that on my first day in Oregon. 5 years later, he's the 6th pick of the draft.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what do I know?
Crazy.
I've only won everything under the sun in football. What do I know, right?
Right. Wow. So this experience, I mean, is it? I mean, you kind of mentioned it before. I mean, the mentality is a little different.
Yes.
And I mean, how did they perceive you? I mean, not only cool NFL Super Bowl, but you're one of them. I mean, what was the? I mean,
that was the thing. Like because I went through what they went through.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've woken up, you know, in January and walked in 3 feet of snow over to go do workout 6 a.m. And I've done all that. And so I know that life, man, it's real. It's tough. You know what I mean? And so when I'm trying to tell these kids, I'm like, and I'm giving them the information and obviously the answers to like how you be successful in this type of environment. And so, you know, and I think once they learned to trust me and knew that I was feeding them the proper knowledge so that they can not only get better as a man, you know what I mean, with the way they attack their day, and to go about their business and trying to get all their requirements done, but also, you know, how to become a better football player. You know what I mean?
That's
and,
crazy.
you know, playing at a really, really high level, both fundamentally and technically, you know, having great football understanding, having understanding of the whole scheme and how all the different players move, you know, like a chessboard, you know, to create the havoc, to disrupt the offense and what their role is within that scheme, where their help is, how to play to it. And just all those different things. It was wonderful, man. The experience was great. You know, working for Coach Kelly was phenomenal. You know, having a chance to have an undefeated season was great. You know, obviously one of my goals was to win a championship. We weren't able to do that. But Notre Dame is close. I mean, Notre Dame is really, really close. And what I love about the school, we do things the right way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
We do things the right way. We will continue to do things the right way. You know, the leadership there, you know, from Swarberg to Kelly and on down with all the, you know, assistant coaches that they have now, they are really they have positive momentum. They are going in the right direction. Now, to be able to break the ceiling into the elite, it's going to be tough. You know what I mean? It's going to be tough, but they can do it. But it's just, there's 2 levels right now. There's D1 Pro.
Exactly.
Okay? Right? That's Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Right.
And then there's D1.
Okay.
So it's going to take a little bit of work to crack D1 Pro, but
so, I mean, when you say it's going to take a little work, I mean, what is it? Is it getting, you know, more talented?
Yeah, well, you know,
offensive, defensive linemen.
They just have so much depth. You know what I mean? Where you know, you look at a squad, and there's 85 scholarships. You know, some of those D1 Pro teams, they're you know 50, 60 deep. You know what I mean? They got guys that are going to go in the first round, run down a kickoff and on punt. They're not even playing offense.
Right, exactly.
That's real. You know what I mean? when you got Ezekiel Elliott running down on kickoff. You know what I'm saying? And he's not even getting the rock.
Right.
Yeah, you got a squad.
Right.
You know, and so it's going to take some time, but they'll be able to do it. But that's the reality of it now. And but they're close, though. They're close.
All right. So and this is what I'm saying. I mean, we've already been on for an hour. It's felt like it's been like 5 minutes, right? So, and this is a question that I always kind of ask folks because I'm really curious about it. You know, with all the experiences you've had, what would you tell an 18-year-old Todd Lyght, who's a freshman coming into Notre Dame?
Right.
You know, kind of nervous, Although you got your number, got your spat, you went to summer school and everything else. But I mean, what's the conversation? And then this is life, leadership, whatever it is, right? What's the conversation you would have with an 18-year-old Todd Lyght?
You know what? I think that I would tell him to be more outgoing within the community at school. I mean, there's so many wonderful people. But, for me, my time management, it took me a while to figure it all out. You know what I mean? And so I was kind of all over the place.
Sure.
But I really wish that I had kind of, put myself out there more in terms of the student population and made more close relationships. I have great relationships, but I kind of keep my circle kind of tight. Obviously you're in that circle, and but I should have expanded more. That's what I would tell my young self. I should have expanded more, met more people, been a little bit more outgoing. But I think at that time I just was very reserved, and I probably had some trust issues at that time. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, I probably had some trust issues, and I just, it was hard for me to trust people. It just was, you know what I mean? But now I'm, being a little bit older, a little bit more wiser, and, just trying to get my kids to, do things a little bit differently than I did, and put themselves out there a little bit more. And actually my son is going to be the rally commissioner at school.
Really?
Yeah, so he's going to organize different rallies and pep rallies and all kinds of different things. And so he's put himself out there. And so, I think his experience is going to be great at high school. And I'm trying to do that with my daughter too. She's more like me. I think my son is more of a social butterfly where it's easy for him to meet new people. But my daughter, she's a little bit more reserved. And, so just trying to make them, get engaged, with everything that's going on in the school outside of the athletics.
Right. Okay. So you finished at Notre Dame. What is Todd Lyght doing now? Now, I'm hoping that has to do with some type of athletic stuff, because you have way too much knowledge to be, giving some advice to some kids doing something. So what are you doing now?
For sure. Just like you said, I really love working with the kids. It is truly my passion. And right now I'm starting to work with Winter Circle. Okay. We're based out of here in Corona, California, where we have an academy, a middle school academy, 3rd through 8th grade.
Oh, wow.
We also train professional athletes, collegiate athletes, high school athletes. We have our academy. We have different camps in every sport. We have baseball, basketball, football, boxing, tennis. And so, we're kind of like a smaller middle school IMG type. And then we're going to open up a facility in Orange County towards the end of the year. And then once we do that, I'll become the director over there.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Athletics.
So is it going to be the same age group or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm really, really fired up about that. And, my son trains there. My daughter's going to start. She just finished her last day of school at 5th grade. She's going to start training there next week. So not only do I get to work with the kids, I get to spend a lot more time with my children.
See, and as a coach, I can't do – and this is one of the reasons why I could never get into coaching, right? Because the amount of time that you're away from your family is crazy, man.
It is. It's tough. It's a tough life. I know when we were recruiting, there would be times I'd fly out on Sunday, recruit Monday through Friday, 5 hotels, 7 airplanes, get home at like a Friday night at like 7, 8 o'clock at night, only to be home for all day Saturday and have to fly out the next Sunday. That's tough. And so for me, my kid's starting high school. He's only going to be in the home for a couple more years. My daughter's going to be here for only a couple more years. I want to be with them. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I really want to be with them. I think that, my wife and I decided when we, brought these kids into this world, and we were going to do our best job in trying to help them, become great decision makers, become kids who, look at the world with empathy, who want to go out and try to do better and try to make everyone around them better. Sure. That's what we're all about in the Lyght household. And so me be able to come back, spend more time with my children, and be able to have a positive effect on the kids at our program is pretty wonderful.
That is absolutely that is wonderful, man. I'm getting fired up, man. See,
how I like to spread the love. You know how we do it, buddy.
So this is amazing. Like, I feel the same way about you as I did when we were 19, 18. You know what I'm saying? The idea that although life takes different paths, I'm a firm believer in what you saw then is literally how you are now, right? And
Right.
I mean, obviously there's been some changes, but the type of leadership that you've shown throughout your career, throughout your life, I mean, is really evident. And that's why I think, I mean, I voted for you. I mean, people like myself and other people voted you as a captain because I think you are a natural born leader.
Thank
And
you, Chris. I appreciate
the-
that, man.
the-
That means a lot coming from you. It really does, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Well, but I mean, I'm not lying, but the idea that, like, if I was some 18-year-old kid and, you know, I was some knucklehead, I would listen to you because not only have you done it, like, you make sense. And
Yes.
the fact that you're able to combine both the talent and the leadership level, and, oh, by the way, you're a great coach. I mean, why wouldn't I? So I think you're going to do great in the kind of this next chapter in your life. But more importantly, and I think this is great, I hope people understand this, you know, you've been away for a long time from your family.
Right.
And having a chance to kind of see them grow, you have
Right.
a chance to see your child go through high school, both of them possibly. And, I mean, a lot of folks don't necessarily have that ability.
Right.
And you have that, and that was a plan you guys have. So I think that is great, man.
Yeah, I'm very grateful, and then obviously, you know, some of the men that I've been around in my life through the game of football have really helped kind of like shape my moral compass, and in understanding how important family is, and doing the right thing, making right decisions, and just trying to do good by the community. Like right now, the U.S. is in turmoil, and we as human beings, we have to get better. We have to get better. And it was interesting. Ryan Harris put out a thing on IG today, and I'm going to double up and resend it, where it was like, he had a picture of the Confederate flag, right? And the picture of the American flag. And under the picture of the Confederate flag, it says, the people who carried this flag shot and killed the people who carried this flag, which was the American flag. Who disrespects the flag?
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And that was like, okay, because that really puts it in perspective. And at the end of the day, listen, we as human beings, everyone has to do better. We just have to do better because we got to create a better future for our children, because it's not fair. It's not fair. Everyone should have a shot. Right. Everyone has a fair shot. Life is hard enough, you know what I mean? And so, for me to do my little part and being able to, create a scholarship where kids can go to the University of Notre Dame. There's been over 25 kids that have graduated Notre Dame on my scholarship.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
That's the one thing I'm most proud of. I mean, that's, think about that. A kid from Flint, Michigan has helped 25 kids graduate from Notre Dame. That's like if you don't count anything else, like,
right.
You know what I mean? That's big enough. You know what I mean?
You made that type of difference. That's awesome.
Yeah. And, now to be working with these kids out here in California, man, is wonderful, man. We got a really, really good group. There was a young man actually just committed to Washington State University, one of our quarterbacks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah. So, I mean, we're putting out talent, man. We got it locked and loaded. And trust me, Trinity League out here is probably one of the best high school leagues. And, we're going to branch off into hockey, golf. We're going to get this thing popping, boy.
That is awesome.
Hey, just come down to Winter Circle and get your training on with me, man.
I heard that. Well, I was about to go. I was about to mention it, but you talk about Instagram. Can you maybe share with us some of your handles so folks can follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just Todd Lyght.
Okay.
Yeah, TODDLYGHT, no spaces, all lower caps.
And that's Instagram. Are you on Twitter, Facebook, or anything else? Or?
I am on Twitter.
Okay.
And Twitter is, hold on. Let me find it. Oh, what do you know? It's at Todd Lyght again, all over.
There you go. See, hey, at least you're consistent, man.
Yes.
You missed the consistency.
Hey,
That's
the
awesome,
market
man.
true greatness, man. Consistency.
I see. Well, ladies and Todd, I mean, this was great. Please thank your wife, Stephanie, for me.
I will, brother.
Just having the chance to kind of share these times.
Yes.
I mean, have honest conversations. Learn some new things.
Right.
But really what I'm trying to do with this podcast is kind of go beyond the helmet and really kind of talk about, like, what inspired you, did you have fun? And really just kind of talk some mess, right? And so the fact that I was able to learn that it was actually not a rumor, that it was really true that you asked Holtz if you could snap your shoe, that for me was worth this interview. Again, Todd, you're a great leader, but I finally found the truth out. So that's important for me.
Well, Chris, listen, I just want you to know, man, I love you to death. You'll always be my brother. Every time you're out in California, make sure you come see me. If you ever need anything, brother, call me. Thank you for having me on as your guest.
Sure thing,
it was truly my honor, man. And, you have been a great friend, a great brother. You have always looked out for me. And, I just think the world of you, brother. I really do.
Well, one of the things that I'd like to do again, a couple of weeks ago, Notre Dame was fortunate enough, NBC Sportsnet actually replayed the 1990 Orange Bowl. And I had this crazy idea of getting a whole bunch of dudes together, kind of watch it, kind of talk about it. Now, I had no idea how it may turn. I thought, hey, a couple questions, we'd be rolling, and it was fun. But and it was great because I wish I would have been able to kind of get everybody in a room, literally. But
yes.
with what's going on,
maybe we can do that next time.
Seriously, I think it'll be great. But I mean, it was great because what I didn't realize is that we had a lot of folks who hadn't talked or seen each other in a long time.
Right.
And so we get guys. I mean, we want to break it into two sections, but it was fun because we had guys that hadn't seen each other in a long time. We had guys that had talked yesterday. And so it was great. And then,
yes.
We had the first half, then the second half, and I think I mentioned to you this before, but at one point we had Anthony Johnson, who is a minister, had a minute and a half prayer on our fallen brothers. Now I did not have that on the script, Todd,
right.
Believe me, man. But I mean, it was that organic.
Yeah.
And that's what was amazing, get all these guys together.
No doubt. When it's organic like that, it's, esoteric, and it's like truly from the heart, like the spirit of our brotherhood. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was the Todd Lyght, again, Super Bowl champion, two-time All-American, my co-captain. If you guys want to check any of this out, please check out my YouTube page at Chris Zorich 50. Todd, it was an honor. And I mean, I kind of got excited about interviewing Tim because he's my best friend, but
right.
You are a very high, like 1A, only because I've admired you for such a long time, man. And you are a really, really good dude, man. I love you, bro.
I love you too, man. Take it easy, Chris, and I'll talk to you soon, brother.
You got it. Thank you, man.
All right. Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.